there, my name is Pavlo Stelmach, and now we'll unveil the top news of recent days. Currently, about 80% of payments in yuan to China are returned back to the Russian Federation. China is becoming increasingly demanding, in particular requesting more and more documents. The first problem began in December 2023 after the US president issued an executive order on secondary sanctions. The next round occurred after a new package of US sanctions on June 12th. In Chinese banks, transfers can hang for several weeks before a decision is made whether to make a payment or not. Then the transfer can be cancelled without giving reasons. As a result, Russians suffer losses on the exchange rate conversion. Russians have to resort to the services of intermediaries, payment agents or trading houses. Using an intermediary entails an increase in the cost of the transaction. Clients need to include an additional commission. On average, the commission is from 3 to 5% but can reach up to 10, depending on the complexity of the logistics chain and the amount of the transaction. In this case, in order for the transaction to fall under compliance, and to be unsanctioned, it may be necessary not only to make a neutral payment, but also to actually import the goods from China first to a neutral country and then try to ship it to Russia. In total, almost 500 companies from 57 countries fell under secondary US sanctions. More than a half of the cases of secondary sanctions are related to the supply of electronic and industrial goods and equipment under the export control of the US Treasury Department. The second most popular reason is the company's connection with an individual or legal entity to whom sanctions were previously applied, including funds, trust, holding, or management companies. The top 5 places include logistics companies and cases of cooperation in the defense sector, including the supply of unmanned systems and satellite images. Most of the companies belong to friendly countries that have not imposed sanctions against Moscow. Most of the companies that fell under secondary sanctions are from China, the United Arab Emirates, Turkey, Cyprus, and Switzerland. On June 12th, the US announced a new sanctions package aimed at Russia's war in Ukraine. The blacklist includes another 33 people and about 300 companies and organizations, both Russian and foreign, helping Moscow circumvent the restrictions already imposed. Among the legal entities subject to restrictions are companies from China, Turkey, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Bulgaria, Serbia, the UAE, Belarus, and the British Virgin Islands, according to a report from the US Treasury Department. At the same time, the US Department of Commerce reported that the volume of chips supplied to Russia via China has decreased by 19% this year. However, the main flow of black imports goes through Hong Kong, Reuters writes. The American non-profit global security organization C4S reported that between August and December 2023, more than 200 firms registered in Hong Kong supplied goods worth almost $2 billion to Russian clients. Semiconductors worth $750 million were delivered, ranging from high-performance chips from NVIDIA company to Vectra Wave to cheaper processors from Texas Instruments and Intel. In response to questions from Reuters, NVIDIA said it stopped selling to Russia in March 2022 and requires its customers to comply with all U.S. laws. Texas Instruments told Reuters it opposes the use of its chips in Russian military equipment and the illegal shipment of its products to Russia. Intel said it operates in strict compliance with U.S. export regulations and sanctions and holds suppliers and distributors accountable for upholding the same standards. Vectra Wave did not respond to a request for comment. Well, it turns out that no one is selling chips to Russia, but Russia somehow gets them. By the way, all this information in Russia will not even be known, and not because they do not know English, but because the Kremlin blocks the work of YouTube itself. In this way, the Kremlin is trying to ban one of the last American social platforms that are still available in the Russian Federation. YouTube download speed on computers will drop by around 40% this week. By the end of the week, it will be decreased by 70%, said Alexander Knishetin, head of the technology committee of the lower house of the State Duma of Russia. According to him, this is allegedly a consequence of YouTube's policy, which consistently deletes the channels of their public figures, whose position does not coincide with the Western point of view. YouTube has previously blocked some channels that are pro-Kremlin or run by the Russian state, and they did it because of the spread of disinformation, which the Kremlin continues to call an alternative truth. Only the truth cannot be an alternative, and everything that Moscow spreads is disinformation. As a reminder, the official definition of extremism is being expanded in Russia as part of the Kremlin's current efforts to prosecute and contain domestic opposition. Opposition to the current actions and structure of the Russian government will be defined as ethnic intolerance towards Russians who support the Kremlin's policies and the war against Ukraine. YouTube outages began in March and intensified in July, especially in the southern regions of Russia. The authorities are capable of blocking it, but so far it is not profitable for them. Rostelecom cites problems with Google Global Cache equipment. At the same time, Russians themselves are reassured that no one is going to block YouTube until there is a normal alternative in Russia. And there won't be one. The Kremlin has been trying to launch RuTube, so-called, for several years now, but unsuccessfully. At the same time, Rostelecom tested a special portal a year ago which is supposed to filter YouTube content for Russian users. Because only the Russian government knows what an ordinary citizen needs to know, and it is precisely against such bans that Ukrainians are fighting, among other things. Hungary looks increasingly isolated in the European Union. Budapest's position irritates other members of the political union. This was stated by Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski in an interview with Visegrad Insight. According to the head of the department, during the last meeting of the EU Foreign Affairs Council, Hungary did not receive support for its position. Moreover, the Hungarians look isolated when they are the ones asking for solidarity with Europe on the issue of oil supplies. They do not receive this solidarity because it is difficult to make friends if someone radiates egoism, the head of the Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs said. According to Sikorski, during the EU Council meeting, the issue of where exactly one of the meetings of foreign ministers would take place during the Hungarian presidency was also raised. In Budapest or in Brussels, the Polish minister in turn proposed holding the meeting in Ukraine as a compromise. At the same time, the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Poland, Teofil Bartoszewski, criticized the anti-Polish appeals of the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, expressing doubts about the need for Hungarian membership in the EU and NATO. Bartoszewski's words are quoted by the PAP agency. The deputy head of the Polish Foreign Ministry emphasized that unlike Orban, his country does not do business with Russia after the full-scale invasion of Ukraine because it was an attack on both Poland and the US, the European Union and NATO, Bartoszewski stated. And I don't really understand why Hungary wants to remain a member of organizations that they don't like so much and that allegedly treat them badly. Why doesn't Orban create an alliance with Putin and with some authoritarian states of this type? He asked rhetorically. He reminded that Hungary also blocks 467 million euros from the European Peace Fund assigned to Poland from the EU for compensation for military equipment received by Ukraine. The day before, during a program speech within the framework of the Tusvanos Summer University in Romania, the Prime Minister of Hungary said that the Poles conduct the most hypocritical policy in all of Europe because they are allegedly shamelessly doing business with Russia. Relations between Warsaw and Budapest have cooled since the Russian invasion of Ukraine in February 2022 due to differences in attitudes towards the invasion and the aggressor. However, until now, Orban has not allowed himself such frank criticism of Poland. Just let me remind you that from 1st of July to 31st of December, Hungary holds the presidency of the Council of the European Union. This presidency has attracted attention due to political steps of Prime Minister Orban. In early July, the head of the Hungarian government visited Kyiv, where he proposed a ceasefire to Ukraine before starting peace talks with Russia. After that, Orban held talks with Russian Putin and later visited China to meet Xi Jinping. EU ambassadors condemned Orban for his peace mission. MEPs also called for Hungary to be stripped of its veto power because of such actions. And this concludes our today's video for now. Thank you for watching. Stay updated, comment, like and subscribe to our UATV channel for more news from Ukraine. It is your support that really matters for us. Goodbye.